The Mughal dynasty laid its foundation in India in the early 16th century. The dynasty started with the coming of the first ruler, Babur, who crossed Afghanistan and reached the Punjab plains in 1526 AD. Babur was born in Farghana in 1483 and ascended the throne at a very young age. He defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the First Battle of Panipat. Babur was succeeded by his son Humayun in 1530. He divided his inheritance equally among his brothers, according to the will of his father. He started the construction of the Purana Killa, but could not finish it. Humayun was defeated by Sher Suri and had to flee to Iran. He died in 1556 due to an accident on the staircase. Humayun was succeeded by his very young son Akbar in the same year. Akbar expanded the kingdom from Kabul to Bengal. He built the walled city of Fatehpur Sikri in 1571. The Navratans, or the 9 courtiers, found an important place in Akbar's court. Akbar started the new religion, Deen-e-Ilahi. Jahangir succeeded the throne after Akbar in 1605. He was the first emperor to open relations with the British East India Company in India. His empress, Begum Nur Jahan, was the real power behind the throne. Shah Jahan was Jahangir's third son, who was born in Lahore in 1592. He was a great connoisseur of art and architecture, building monuments like the Taj Mahal, the Jama Masjid, and the beautiful Shalimar Gardens in Srinagar. The majestic peacock throne is also from his time. Aurangzeb was the last emperor who sat on the Mughal throne in 1658. He was an autocratic ruler who was deeply religious, believing in the Islamic law of Sharia. The Mughal Empire reached its zenith during Aurangzeb's rule. The territorial extent of the empire was short-lived, as revolts of subsidiary rulers challenged its integrity. By the 17th century, the Mughal Empire had lost its glory, but had left behind a political legacy few people could ignore.
The Mughals. The Mughals were descendants of 2 great lineages of rulers. From their mother's side, they were descendants of Genghis Khan, and from their father's side, they were successors of Timur Lang. However, Mughals did not like to be called Mongols, as they were proud of their trimurid ancestry. Babur. Babur inherited the small Central Asian kingdom of Farghana at the young age of 11 years. Soon he was driven out by an Uzbek tribe of the region. His attempts for the conquest of Samarkand had failed. He soon conquered Kabul in 1504 CE. Babur was fascinated with India's wealth. When Daulat Khan Lodi invited him to India, he did not want to miss the opportunity of conquering India. He then invaded India and defeated Ibrahim Lodi at the Battle of Panipat in 1526 CE. After this, Babur occupied Delhi and made Agra his capital. This battle marked the beginning of Mughal Empire. Babur defeated the combined forces of Rana Sanga of Mewar and his allies at Khanwa in 1527. Later he conquered Gwalior, Dholpur and other places. He defeated the chief of Chanderi in 1528 and Afghan chiefs of Bengal and Bihar in 1529. In a short period of 4 years, Babur acquired territories from Indus to Bihar and from Himalayas to Gwalior. But before he could strengthen his hold over his conquest, he died in 1530. Though he was buried in Agra, his remains were later moved to Kabul as per his will. Babur was the most illustrious man of his age. He was educated in Persian and Arabic and wrote his autobiography Baburnama in Turkish, his mother tongue. We learn about the Mughals from a number of books written during this period. We have Jahangir's biography, Jahangirnama, written by his sister Gulbadan Begum. Many court historians like Abul Fazl, travelers like Frenchman Bernier, and Christian missionaries like Father Rodolphe have left behind very valuable accounts. Humayun. After the death of Babur, his son Humayun succeeded him and inherited a large empire. Humayun had a very turbulent life as a ruler. Initially, he struggled to maintain his kingdom as he fought with Sher Shah Suri of Bihar and Bahadur Shah of Gujarat. After he was defeated by Sher Shah at Chausa and Kannauj, he became a king without kingdom, wandering in Sindh, Rajasthan and Persia, looking for shelter and help. He made preparations to recover the lost territories in India by making Kabul his base. When he was at Amarkot in Sindh, his wife gave birth to their son Akbar. In 1555, he reoccupied Delhi and re-established his empire in India. Unfortunately, he did not live long after this. He died in 1556 due to an accidental fall from the stairs of his library building in Purana Killa in Delhi. Sher Shah, the ruler in eastern India who defeated Humayun twice in the battles of Chausa and Kannauj, was Sher Shah. After defeating Humayun, he became the Sultan of Delhi. He was the son of an Afghan Jagirdar from Jaunpur in Uttar Pradesh. His kingdom stretched from Jhelum to Brahmaputra and Himalayas to Narmada. In a short period of 5 years, Sher Shah improved the administration of his territories. He had a large standing army and continued the practice of branding horses. He respected the cultivators and ordered that his soldiers should not cause injury to standing crops when they marched. Babur and Humayun failed to consolidate their powers as they both ruled an empire that was only held together by force of arms and lacked a consolidated civil administration. But Sher Shah was an able administrator. He established a monarchical system of government. The kingdom was divided into provinces, which were further divided into a number of sarkars. They were further divided into parganas or districts, which were then divided into villages. A village was the lowest unit of administration. The parganas were under the Sheikhdar, who looked after the law and order, and Amil or Munshi was responsible for collection of revenue. He himself directly supervised the administration. He treated all equally and gave impartial justice. An efficient spy system kept him well informed of happenings in his empire. He was tolerant towards other religions. He built a number of roads. Prominent among them are the Grand Trunk Road connecting Lahore to Multan and Agra to Jodhpur. Land revenue was the major source of income for the king. Revenue was assessed on the basis of the fertility of land. The revenue to be paid was 1/3 of the produce, and it could be given either in cash or kind. Sher Shah took several measures for the welfare of the people. He built many sarais, which were safe rest houses where the merchants used to spend nights during their journeys from one place to another. This encouraged merchants to travel extensively, which in turn led to the growth of trade. Trade also got an impetus with the introduction of a new rupee coin called rupiah. Sher Shah's history was written by Abbas Khan in 1579 CE, which gives many details of his administration. As per his account, if a theft or robbery was committed, the Muqaddam had to produce the culprits or point out their places of hiding. It was done as it was believed that without the knowledge of headman, nothing could happen in a village. It greatly helped in the trade and commerce. His brilliant career was cut short in 1545 CE when he died of a gunpowder explosion while laying siege to the fort of Kalinjar in Bundelkhand.
A case study of Akbar and his times. Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar was born in 1542 CE in Amarkot when his father Humayun was in exile. He accompanied his father and mother, Hamida Banu Begum, to Kabul, where he was left behind and his parents went off to Persia. When his father returned to India, he came with him. Prince Akbar's tutor was Mullah Sada. Although he never learned to read and write, he enjoyed hearing others read out to him. He showed great fondness for animals and devoted a lot of time to horses, dogs, camels, and pigeons. He also enjoyed painting. At the age of 13, he was appointed governor of Punjab, but he did not trouble himself with much state affairs. He occupied himself in shooting and hunting. We get valuable information about Akbar's reign from books. One of the Navratans of Akbar, Abul Fazl, wrote Akbarnama, of which N.A. Akbari is a part. Akbarnama literally means History of Akbar, which is a biography of Akbar. It is the most comprehensive history of the reign of Akbar. While Akbarnama is technically a history book, N.A. Akbari is an administrative manual and is like a modern gazetteer. The many regulations embodied in the N.A. Akbari provide information about Akbar's government, its several departments, its different ranks, etc. There was another court historian, Badauni, who was highly critical of Akbar's policies. This painting here shows Abul Fazl presenting the Akbarnama to Akbar. Consolidation and expansion of empire. In 1556 CE, Hemu, the chief minister and general of Ali Shah, occupied Delhi and declared himself the ruler. Akbar and his army, under the guidance of Regent Behram Khan, met the Afghan forces on the historic battlefield of Panipat. Hemu was defeated and killed, and the Afghan power was crushed. This significant event is known as, in history, as the Second Battle of Panipat. After winning this battle, Akbar reoccupied Delhi and Agra. Jaunpur, Ajmer, Agra and Gwalior also came under Mughal control. In 1561, Akbar conquered Malwa and defeated its king. His policy towards the Rajputs was to win them over by marriage alliances and by befriending them. He himself married the princess of Amber, Jodha Bai. Except Rana Pratap of Mewar, he made alliances with Rajput states of Amber, Bikaner, Ranthambore, Kalinjar and Jaisalmer. A battle was fought between Mughals and the forces of Mewar. The fort of Chittor was captured and the troops of Rana Pratap were defeated at the Battle of Haldi Ghati. But Mewar did not surrender to Mughal control. The Rajput policy of Akbar helped him to secure Delhi and Agra and helped him to consolidate his territories. It also helped him to enlist the services of brave Rajput rulers who were given important posts in administration. In 1578, Gujarat was conquered and the ports of Gujarat meant more revenue through trade. Bengal was also annexed later and its seaports encouraged trade with Southeast Asia. The rich and fertile land of Bengal brought a lot of revenue for the Emperor Akbar, also conquered Kabul, Kandahar, Kashmir and Balochistan, which increased trade between India, Persia and Central Asia. Akbar's Deccan policy. Akbar's ambition to rule over the whole of Indian subcontinent and the prosperous economy of the south inspired him to venture into the Deccan. The mutual conflicts among the rulers in Deccan provided a favorable opportunity to Akbar to fulfill his dreams. Thus, the Mughal troops made their first appearance in the Deccan. Khandesh, Ahmednagar and Berar became Mughal provinces. The annexation of Gujarat provided the empire with additional revenue from the area's rich commercial centers, access to the Gulf of Cambay, and hence the holy city of Mecca and Medina in Arabian Peninsula. So, Akbar's vast empire extended from Hindu Kush in the west to Brahmaputra in the east and from the Himalayas in the north to the Godavari in the south. Administration. Akbar worked out an efficient system of administration as the emperor was very powerful. All powers were concentrated in his hands. His interpretation of Islamic laws led to the decline of the position of ulemas. The emperor ruled with the help of council of ministers. The prime minister was also called Wazir or Diwan and was the head of the revenue department. Qazi was chief justice and Mir Bakshi was in charge of military administration. Diwan-e-Am was the people's court where Akbar met people. Diwan-e-Khas was the court for nobility and royalty where his officials and ministers could meet and discuss issues. The empire was divided into provinces or subha, which were further divided and subdivided into sarkars and parganas. A pargana consisted of many villages. The subha was under a subedar who was a provincial governor. He was helped by officers like the Diwan who kept the revenue records and Bakshi who looked after the law and order situation. Army. The king had his own standing army which was recruited by him. Soldiers were supplied by mansabdars, which was a title to the military of Mughal Empire. He followed the practice of branding horses to avoid corruption. His artillery was well organized and he also had cavalry and elephantry in his army. Mansabdari system was introduced in Akbar's army. Every officer was given a mansab or rank and was called a mansabdar. He had to maintain a fixed number of troops as per his rank to be supplied to the king. He was paid handsomely to take care of his expenses. A mansabdar could be transferred from one place to another. Revenue. Revenue was an integral part of Akbar's administration. The main source of income for the state were land revenue and trade. Raja Todarmal, the finance minister and one of the Navratans, introduced some measures to generate more land revenue. Land was properly measured and average produce was calculated on the basis of previous 10 years. 1/3 of the revenue was fixed for the state. In case of drought or floods, land revenue was often waived off by the king. Trade was another source of income. The main items of export were textiles, spices, indigo, and saltpeter. Goods were traded with Central Asia, Southeast Asia, and Russia. Portuguese also established trade centers in the west coast of India. Akbar encouraged internal trade through the building of roads. Akbar's religious policy. Akbar had a secular outlook and a very liberal and tolerant attitude towards other religions. Akbar took several steps which appealed to the Hindus as they were in majority among his subjects. He abolished jizya, which was a tax paid by non-Muslims to a Muslim king. Rajput princesses were allowed freedom of worship. Pilgrimage tax was abolished. Mansabs were given to deserving Hindus like Raja Todarmal and Raja Man Singh. In employment, no discrimination was made on the basis of religion. Akbar had been brought up in an atmosphere of liberal ideas. He treated people of all religious faith of society equally as he believed in sulh-kul or peace for all. He gradually realized that all religions had a number of good points. He built a hall of worship called Ibadat Khana, where he invited Muslim scholars to discuss issues involving their religion. However, Akbar was very disturbed with the narrow-mindedness of his ulemas who disliked his policies and tried to control administration by supporting the groups that were against Akbar. Soon, Akbar invited scholars of all religions to hold discussion with them. In fact, he was seeking truth through the study of various religious beliefs. In 1582 CE, Akbar promulgated a new religious order called Deen-e-Ilahi. Most leading notables refused to join this religious order, and Birbal was the only Hindu who joined it. As part of the Sulkul, Akbar celebrated Navroz, the Parsi New Year, stopped cow slaughter, and took to vegetarianism. He also got various holy books translated into Persian. Although he never learned how to read and write, but he possessed good memory to remember accurately the contents of books read to him.
Jahangir and Nur Jahan. Jahangir. In 1605, Akbar was succeeded by his son Salim, who took on the name of Jahangir upon his accession to the throne. He was liberal in his outlook like his father. He was deeply interested in the welfare of his subject. He valued justice highly, so much so that he hung a chain of bells outside the palace. Those who had any grievance could tuck the ropes off the chain and would receive a hearing from the king. His son Khusro rebelled against him and was defeated at Lahore. Mewar had eluded Akbar, but his Rajput policies led him to subjugate Mewar. Meanwhile, Portuguese had also come to India. Jahangir had cordial relations with them, and they were given trade concessions. He subdued the Afghans of Bengal, but his campaign against the Deccan states was not successful. He ended the long-standing conflict between Mewar and Mughals. His son Prince Khurram was also known as Shah Jahan, captured the fort of Kangra, but Jahangir lost Kandahar to Persians. Fact: Jahangir loved his wife Nur Jahan very much. This was reflected in issuance of special gold muhurs. His courts are vividly portrayed by English ambassador Sir Thomas Roe, who spent nearly years in his court, 1615 to 1619. Nur Jahan. Nur Jahan was a wife of Jahangir. She was the power behind the throne. She advised the king on all the important matters of the state. Nur Jahan took the control of the court in her hands when Jahangir's health deteriorated. In 1627, after the death of Jahangir, she also retired from the throne and public life.
Jahangir's and Shah Jahan's patronage of architecture. Shah Jahan, architecture. After a brief struggle for power, Shah Jahan ascended the throne at Agra in 1628. He suppressed many rebellions, but he failed to recover Kandahar from Persians. He was able to put down the revolt of Bundela Rajputs. He got Bijapur and Golconda in the Deccan, but they were not annexed and paid annual tributes. He also sent his armies to Balkh and Badakhshan in Central Asia. Shah Jahan also led a campaign against Portuguese and caused heavy losses to them. Abdul Hamid Lahori wrote Padshahnama, which gave us valuable information about Shah Jahan's reign. The paintings that illuminated this work are a treat to eyes as they capture court life, wedding, and other activities. Inayat Khan's Shah Jahannama is another valuable work for this period. Missionaries, foreign travelers and merchants who visited India during this period have left accounts of Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. The two things that Shah Jahan is known for the world over are the famous Taj Mahal and the Peacock Throne. Taj Mahal is regarded as one of the 7 wonders of the world, was built with white marble at Agra in memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal. The Peacock Throne was made of gold and was studded with precious stones and was placed in Diwan-e Khas at the Red Fort at Delhi. It was built by Shah Jahan when he moved his capital to Delhi from Agra after the death of Mumtaz Mahal. Nadir Shah, the Persian invader, carried the throne away in 1739. On his return to Delhi, he built Shah Jahanabad, which is now a part of Delhi. Shah Jahan also built Moti Masjid in Agra and Jama Masjid in Delhi. His buildings show the use arches, domes, and minarets. During this period, A lot of marble was used instead of sandstone. In the Mughal dynasty, there was no clear law of succession. Even before Shah Jahan died, a fight broke out between his four sons, namely Dara, Shuja, Murad, and Aurangzeb. In this succession of war, Aurangzeb emerged victorious after defeating his brothers and making his father a virtual prisoner at Agra fort. In 1657, Shah Jahan fell ill and died. Jahangir, Architecture. Tuzuk-e-Jahangiri, the autobiography of Jahangir, gives a good idea about Jahangir and his interests. It shows that he was a man of justice. He gives 12 rules of conduct to be observed by all the people. Jahangir married Nur Jahan, who was extremely beautiful and talented. Persian art and culture flourished under her influence. She and her family members had important administrative posts. Jahangir often took her advice on personal and administrative matters. Some historians believe that Jahangir was very fond of drinking and she took most of the decisions in the court, and she became a co-regent. However, her rise to power divided the court into different groups, one in her favor and the other against her. This led to conflict and rivalry among the nobles, which damaged Mughal Empire. Jahangir's failing health led to an open struggle of power between Nur Jahan and her own son Shah Jahan. A number of nobles revolted against Nur Jahan. Jahangir died in 1627 CE and was buried at Lahore.
Mansabdars and Jagirdars. The term Mansabdar refers to an individual who holds a mansab, meaning a position or rank. It was a grading system used by the Mughals to fix rank, salary, and military responsibilities. In Akbar's reign, these Jagirs were carefully assessed so that their revenues were roughly equal to the salary of the Mansabdar, which meant a long wait before they received a Jagir. Many Jagirdars tried to extract as much revenue as possible while they had a Jagir. Zabt and Zamindars. The main source of income available to Mughal rulers was tax on the produce of the peasantry. In most places, peasants paid taxes through the rural elites, that is, the headman or the local chieftain. The Mughals used one term zamindars to describe all intermediaries, whether they were local headmen of villages or powerful chieftains. Akbar's revenue minister Todarmal carried out a careful survey of crop yields, prices and areas cultivated for a 10-year period 1570 to 1580. Each province was divided into revenue circles with its own schedule of revenue rates for individual crops. This revenue system was known as Zabt. The Zamindars exercised a great deal of power. The exploitation by Mughal administrators could drive them to rebellion. Zamindars and peasants of the same caste allied in rebelling against Mughal authority.
Aurangzeb and his Deccan policy. Aurangzeb came to throne by defeating his brothers and imprisoning his father. He faced many difficulties in his reign of 50 years. His Deccan policy forced him to impose taxes on non-Muslims in order to mitigate his economic constraints. This tax was known as jizya. During his long reign, his empire reached the largest size. It stretched from Kashmir in the north to Jinji in the south and from Hindu Kush in the west to Chittagong in the east. Mir Jumla, the governor of Bengal, annexed Cooch Behar and subdued the Ahoms of Assam. However, this was for a short period of time and these places were lost by the Mughals. Later, Shaista Khan, the next governor, captured Chittagong, which was a center of Portuguese commercial activities. Chittagong was named Islamabad by the orders of the emperor. When Bijapur and Golconda fell beneath Aurangzeb's might, rebellious Hindus flocked to join Shivaji and his Maratha confederacy using guerrilla mode of warfare. Shivaji took control of 3 Bijapur forts formerly controlled by his father. With these victories, Shivaji assumed leadership of many independent Maratha clans. Marathas under the leadership of Shivaji captured forts belonging to both Mughals and Bijapur. Shivaji successfully drove the Mughal armies out of Deccan and was crowned Chhatrapati or King of the Maratha Confederacy in 1674. While Aurangzeb continued to send troops against him, Shivaji expanded Maratha control throughout the Deccan until his death in 1680. Aurangzeb continued to wage wars against the Marathas for a long time. After his death, new leadership arose in Marathas who soon became unified under the rule of Peshwa. Aurangzeb himself went to Deccan to crush the Maratha power. He annexed Bijapur in 1686 and Golconda in 1687. Shivaji was succeeded by his son Sambhaji, who was defeated and executed by Aurangzeb. He also imprisoned Shambhaji's infant son Shahu and his family. Aurangzeb remained in Deccan till 1707 and kept on crushing the revolt of Marathas and expanding his territories until he died in CE 1707. Aurangzeb, however, could not crush Marathas completely.
Decline of Mughal Empire. Aurangzeb's Rajput policy was just the reversal of Akbar's Rajput policy. Akbar tried to be a friend through alliances, marriages, and by giving them high posts in administration. But Aurangzeb had constant conflicts with Rajputs, particularly in Mewar and Marwar. Aurangzeb's imposition of heavy taxes led the Jats of Mathura and Satnamis of Punjab to rebel against Aurangzeb. Guru Tegh Bahadur, the 9th Guru of Sikhs, was executed in Delhi as he reacted to the policy of religious intolerance of Aurangzeb. At the place of his execution now stands a Gurudwara known as Shishganj Gurudwara at Delhi. After this, the relationship between Sikhs and Mughals became strained. Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th Guru of Sikhs, organized the Sikhs into a Khalsa, a military group. It was free from caste and creed. After this, the Sikhs fought the Mughals.